Today we're going to focus on these 4 key topics, which are things that everyone should think about in every game they play, and there's always room for improvement on each of them. One of the major key factors throughout the whole game is managing your economy. As you can see here, simply selling a Yasuo can help you gain interest. Be sure to take advantage of synergies when you have the chance. There were several missed opportunities that you'll see in this video that could have helped win rounds. Positioning is something you need to think about every round. If this keeper cannon were in the center of all these units, he'd be giving 5 shields instead of just 1 to Shen. Don't get too attached to early game units. This Yasuo might have looked cool dashing around in stage 2, but this is 6-3. You're in the big leagues now. And speaking of big leagues, the quickest way you can get there is by liking and subscribing to my channel. Don't be a 2-star Yasuo, be a 3-star set and smash that button. So this player's at Silver 2, and he makes a lot of common mistakes that we all do with econ and positioning, and things that are pretty easy to fix, but we don't really realize it until the end of the game. I think the main problem was his love for his 2-star Yasuo, which he kept it until level 8. Maybe he's just a Yasuo main. This start is actually really good, but really hard to figure out. The 2 main options I see are Brawler Jinx to get a Sharpshooter, or Cannon and find an Elise to make Keeper, and probably Cultist. You also get the chance for Fortune. Here I liked him selling off those units he didn't need, and he could have actually sold that Cannon as well and made 10 gold. The other option I see is keep that Cannon in J4 and make a Keeper with the Jinx and then get a Sharpshooter. Picking up the Elise here would have given another opportunity for Keeper. You obviously don't want to play both Zed and Cannon, but since he's choosing to play Zed, he could have sold the Cannon to make 10 gold. Having good econ in the beginning is something you really got to keep in mind. So this isn't the best set of champions to choose from. I would definitely pick up Zed, but I would maybe sell the Yasuos and put in that Hecarim instead so you have a little bit of defense up front. If you keep in the Yasuos with the Jinx and the Zed, you end up with a lot of offense but not a lot of defense. Some general advice for the early stage is to pick up one of the Chosens you're offered, even if it's not really the best one. In this case, picking up a Warlord Nidalee would actually give Sharpshooter with Jinx, and if you find a Jarvan, you have a Cannon there, and you would have a Sharpshooter, Warlord, Keeper composition. You might be able to actually win streak the whole first round with that combination. I would definitely put Jinx in the back line, and keep in mind you have that 1 gold Yasuo on the bench to sell if you don't end up winning. It's important to maintain good econ early on if at all possible. If you know how to play Moonlight, picking up the Diana here might not be a bad idea because you have an extra Diana right there, and it's early enough in the game that you'll still be able to find other Dianas and eventually more Aphelios. If not though, you can still pick up this Xin Zhao and replace it with one of the Zeds, because that gives you another tanky frontline unit with Yasuo and also gives you Duelist. Did you guys hear that? Right when Zed passed, he said, "I got you, bro." Because that is probably the best combination of unit and item you could possibly get at this stage right now. Making a 2-star Zed and a bow? Damn. This is another situation where you gotta think a little bit outside the box and be willing to give up some of the units that you've been using so far to replace with better units that will carry you farther in the game. In this case, I would sell both the Yasuos, level to 5, and put in Wukong, Teemo, and Hecarim. That would give you a Vanguard frontline, a 2-star Zed with a bow, and Sharpshooters. If that's not a recipe for success, I don't know what is. While the 2-star Yasuo is tempting, a better play would actually be to get the Jarvan, Hecarim, and Teemo. And I understand Fortune might be a little scary for some players, but picking up Kenshin Nidalee would give Fortune Sharpshooter, as well as selling Yasuo for Sylas to get Brawler. I would also prefer Nidalee for Sharpshooter over Baby Yasuo, but hey, Baby Yasuo's kinda cute, eh? And real quick, as a general rule of thumb, you don't want to re-roll this early on. The more you save now, the more you'll have in the future. This is another example of not being afraid to change up your board. 3 cultists just came up in 1 roll, and you could easily sell Jinx and Baby Yasuo and you'd have a much stronger team. Finding that Evelynn is actually huge because it gives Shade to Zed. Shade allows Zed to go invisible every 3 attacks, and since he attacks so fast, it procs very quickly. The best option here was to put in Elise and TF over Yasuo and Jinx. I think Zed gave Yasuo some ninja training because that 1-star Yasuo is somehow still on the board. It was good to identify Kalista as a third cultist, and it also helps out Yasuo being duelist. But instead of leveling to 6, a better play would have been to just replace Yasuo at 1. There's currently a 5-game losing streak, so there's no rush to level to 6. Currently being at 76 health is high enough to still let you lose another round or two, and that'll help you gain more econ. I like Hurricane on Zed, but I like RFC even better. I probably would have waited to get Bo as first pick on Carousel next round, but you probably wouldn't have known that unless you played a lot of Zed. Like this guy called PJ Lucan, he has this series on Zed every Wednesday, so he calls it Zed's Day. He's ranked 300 LP in Masters or something. What a weirdo. I think gloves are a really safe option here. You can make a Thieves Gloves or a QSS down the road. You might have picked up the bow or armor to get more gold, but it's not really a big deal. Nothing really happens during this, you just found an extra Evelyn and Kalista. Everybody listen up, this is your warning. If you get triggered by sitting at 49 gold and not picking up the white orbs in time to make econ, look away right now. To be fair, I'm pretty sure he looked out his window and saw a little girl trying to get her cat down from a tree. So being the hero he is, he rushed outside and saved that cat, and then casually resumed his game. Hodge is definitely a good item on Zed, but unfortunately Jeweled Gauntlet is not. Although it does help with the critical strikes, Zed only deals about 10% of his damage as magic. A lot of things happen in this round, so I'm going to try to break them all down for you. First, we're able to get a 2-star Akali, which matches with our 2-star Kennen we got last round. Then we're able to hit a 2-star Pyke. Then, and the most important point of all, we find Shen. This allows us to put in 4 ninjas, which is the real power spike. The only thing that could have gone better was to get rid of Yasuo and put in Kalista for 3 cultists. And we're all sad to see baby Yasuo taken off the board. Surviving for 10 rounds, which is 10 more than he should have, he did a total of 4,000 damage, which Zed can easily do in 1. Keeper Kennen is another huge pickup, and by keeping the previous 2-star Kennen, he only needs 3 more to make a 3-star chosen Kennen. The next thing we need to think about is positioning. Hodge is definitely a good item to put onto Akali, and making Zephyr is always a good idea. Remember that guy PJ Lucan? He also made a video about Zephyrs. What units to put them on, how to scout properly. He actually taught me a thing or two. You might want to check out that video around here somewhere. Hitting 3-star Keeper Kennen just a few rounds after you found him? Nice. Kayn with Chalice was the perfect combination to pick up here. A 2-star Kayn late game with good items can help carry you to a win. While it's a good idea to level to 8 to put in your shiny new Kayn with Chalice, you should first look around and think, hey, what's that Yasuo still doing here? The best play is to actually level to 8 to put in Kayn, but then replace Yasuo with either a cultist or another legendary if you find it, like that Jhin. Or this Kalista. And if you remember that note I made about positioning earlier, this is a perfect time to put your Keeper Kennen in the middle of all your units. Right now he's only giving a shield to Shen. At this point in the game with only 13 hit points left, it's a good idea to roll your gold down like you did here and cross your fingers for a legendary to pop up. Finding 2-star Shen is really good, and it looks like we're only 2 units off for 3-star Pyke or 3-star Akali. I would probably sell those Evelyns though. The extra 6 gold will give you 3 more chances to potentially find 3-star Akali or Pyke or even a legendary. Alright guys, here's a lesson for everybody. Just hit. I wanted to add just a quick note on where to put Kayn with Chalice. Chalice gives AP to champions on either side of it, and as we mentioned earlier, Zed doesn't really do AP damage. So a better placement would have been next to Kennen or Pyke or Akali, because they typically do the most AP damage on the team. If you look at Yasuo in the top left corner of the board, you can see he's looking down and to his right, looking away from the rest of the team. It reminds me of those kids in class who don't want to get called on by the teacher. So he thinks, if I can't see the teacher can't see me. And thus, our boy Yasuo, a 1-cost 2-star unit with no other synergies, was able to stay on the board until the very last fight. But you know what? It didn't matter. We still got 2nd place. And I will take that any day of the week. Unless it's Wednesday and I'm playing Zed. No pressure. Thank you everybody for watching my VOD review. I really hope you got something out of it, maybe something you learned that you can start practicing on your own. My general approach for these VODs is to imagine what I would do if this was my game. Feel free to leave any comments about your thoughts and maybe what you would do differently, and hit that subscribe button for me, I'd really appreciate it. And for anybody still listening, put on your Sherlock Holmes hat and bust out that magnifying glass, because this is the clue of what's coming up on Wednesday.